Empty streets, empty store shelves, orders to stay home and don't go to work. The pandemic physically separated us from one another, but technology connected us to a degree never seen before. People who used to gather in buildings for work now gather in online spaces like Zoom, Slack, Teams, and Outlook. But as we moved our lives online, few people paused to think about what happens to the data we create. Most of us assume our files, our photos, our emails, our messages float somewhere in the infinite storage capacity of the internet. But where do they really go? And what are the implications of creating so much digital waste? Oh my gosh, you guys, I think I lost my Zoom interview recording. I have no idea where I put it.
Oh no, are you serious?
This is going to ruin everything.
Wait, have you checked the cloud? You probably recorded it to the cloud, so maybe you can find it there.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Yes, I did record it to the cloud. Whew. Good thing I didn't lose it.
I think what first comes to mind is like physical tangible waste from electronics like computers and batteries.
I have not heard of e-waste before at all.
I don't really think about e-waste that much, so not a whole lot comes to mind.
I'm thinking like how we dispose of batteries, maybe how you dispose of like old like phones or computers, that kind of stuff.
E-waste is typically thought of as electronics we throw out, but there is more to this issue than meets the eye. Our accumulation of data on our electronics is another form of e-waste, one that we don't think or talk about as often. It makes sense why we wouldn't talk about this type of waste. These days, most of us have seemingly endless amounts of storage on our phones and our computers, and if we run out of storage, we can move everything to the cloud. But what exactly is that?
I don't really understand the cloud, but what I think it is like a way, essentially like a way to store things, but not on your computer, I guess, like through the internet. I don't really use the cloud willingly. I think that my computer will automatically save things to the cloud, but I don't really know how that happens.
Storage and like iPhones and pictures and storing pictures and files.
I think of like connecting across all devices, connecting with other people, other team members for projects.
The only thing that for me comes up is like the cloud that's on like all the Apple devices, which is just like some external storage thing that makes sure that I don't lose my data or like my like files and stuff. And it also like enables like cross device sharing.
A bunch of servers together storing data, and then it's just, data stored over the internet.
I have no idea. I've always just kind of assumed it goes just like into the internet, but I honestly have no idea.
I have no idea.
I assume there's like an external server. Maybe Apple has one that's holding all of this. But to be honest, I'm not fully sure where it goes.
On a server somewhere. I'm not sure where, in a big warehouse.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think of anything that's not cloud these days.
Not only do we rely heavily on the cloud for our personal data storage, but as Duke students, we are interacting with the cloud more frequently than you may think.
If you are approaching cloud computing at Duke from a user level, you probably have already experienced quite of that, right? So for example, if you have taken some classes which require you to use the VCM infrastructure, essentially virtual machines or containers, basically a cluster of servers that the Office of Information Technology runs, and then it will give you this dedicated server for yourself. Some of the hardware actually is from basically the public clouds like Amazon. But the thing is that Duke is able to leverage these public cloud resources and then present another interface to Duke students. And so the access to these resources is as if they're just Duke resources, but actually the underlying stuff is actually running externally at another cloud provider. So at that level, there is you're already benefiting from that.
Well, there's sort of a joke in the field that cloud computing is just other people's computers. At the end of the day, there are still CPUs and GPUs and storage arrays that store and process data, whether it's on your laptop or if it's in a data center, hundreds of miles from here. At the end of the day, it still has to be running on something. The cloud services really are large companies that can afford to create large data centers that warehouse racks and racks and racks, buildings and buildings of machines.
The cloud is thought of as this metaphysical entity, but what if we told you that the cloud is embodied in data centers?
People at computers coding. I haven't heard of one before, but it seems like it would be a place that stores people's data.
A big warehouse with a lot of servers that uses a lot of electricity.
I think of a lot of nerds typing at computers. Maybe there's some Excel going on.
A managing center that deals with data volume and trafficking of data, maybe.
I have no idea, but is my data stored in data centers? Is that what's going on?
Okay, yep, so to give you a little bit of help, a data center is a building or dedicated space within a building or a group of buildings used to house computer systems and associated components such as telecommunications and storage systems. So it's that physical space where things are being stored, and Durham has 4 in its immediate area, just like super close by. So now that you know what a data center actually is,
that those still exist, like the big rooms with a bunch of computers and blinking buttons.
Yeah, I guess I never realized that. Like, to me, when I have emails just like in my inbox, like it's just purely like online, and I never thought of it actually like requiring a physical space.
I never thought about what happened or how all of the stuff was stored. I just stored it and kind of forgot about it.
I didn't know what a data center was. And I didn't know that like each city has one, and that it was like a system of computers.
So it's like the cloud is like a physical place in these data centers, and that's where all of my data is being stored. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that completely changes my view of it, and it makes sense that that's wasteful.
I can say with some certainty that it's not here in Durham. I don't know specifically where they're stored, but the cloud providers are set up with what are called availability zones, and they have data centers in various availability zones in different geographic places across the US and across the world. And so as an enterprise, we would configure, for instance, Office 365 to store the Duke data primarily in US East 1, which is an availability zone that has several data centers that might be in Washington, D.C., outside Pittsburgh, I think that's the answer to the question. It is out there somewhere, but again, it's actually on storage somewhere. It's not, floating around in the ether or something like that.
We have become disconnected from the physical component of our internet participation. We know the environmental implications of using plastic water bottles and eating red meat, but do we know the environmental implications of our internet usage?
Between 2010 and 2018, global IP traffic, the quantity of data traversing the internet, increased more than tenfold, while global data center storage capacity increased by a factor of 25 in parallel. Some of the world's largest data centers require more than 100 megawatts of power capacity, enough to power around 80,000 US households. Servers and cooling systems account for the greatest shares of direct electricity used in data centers, followed by storage drives. Globally, data centers consumed around 205 terawatt hours in 2018, or about 1% of global electricity use. This number has stayed about constant for the past decade. However, global electricity use has almost doubled in that time. In other words, the slice is the same, but the pie has gotten bigger. More energy-efficient servers and storage drives, and the migration towards massive data centers using ultra-efficient cooling systems have helped keep us at that 1%. But new computationally intensive technologies like AI may cause demand to outpace the energy efficiency gains that have kept data energy usage in check.
Yeah, I've been unsubscribing to a lot of newsletters that I don't actually need because I've learned about the impacts of data storing. So that's like something simple that I've been doing. I guess learning more about it would definitely make me more conscious of like how much data do I actually need. Like, so does like me deleting all my emails, does that do anything? So that
I honestly don't think I will do anything differently, because I feel like if I were to do something about it, I feel like my impact is just one person, and trying to maybe alleviate that waste would probably be not that much in comparison to the billions of other people who are probably not also very concerned about the waste.
I mean, I definitely have a lot of stuff just like stored in the cloud. And I think that I am now a little bit more motivated to clean out folders that probably already needed to be cleaned out, just kind of knowing the environmental impacts behind all of that.
So I think knowing more about it now will definitely change the way I manage my data. I already wanted to manage it better and clean it up and be more mindful of my data for my own personal reasons, and I think that it's another motivating factor, knowing the ecological impact of data as well. So yeah,
I think that I'll definitely talk to other people about this, because it's something that I didn't know, and I think it's really cool. So it'd be fun to talk to my friends and stuff and see whether they're aware too, and probably delete those files from 5 years ago that I don't need anymore, that I hold on to just in case.
This project wouldn't exist without the cloud. The cloud is an important part of our professional and personal lives. The cloud isn't the issue, it's our mindset. By connecting built infrastructure to the cloud, we hope to alert you to the reality of this situation. Our actions on the internet have consequences on our physical world. The internet is an escape of the real world as we might have previously conceived it to be. The space we take up online also takes up space somewhere else. That where may not be as far away as you might think. All of us are trying to do our best to do what's right by the environment, and the best thing to do is listen.
Our Earth is filling up with waste. Our laptops are filling up with waste. Nature is warning us. Our laptops are warning us. Will you listen?